Hello, hello. It's Friday afternoon. If anyone's available and watching, I promised I would give a quick run through of the Profila platform experience for brands. So what I'll be showing is a very high level run through of the interface for brands, how to create a simple brand moment, which is an advert, and view that on the customer view. So here that you can see on the screen right now is what I walked through in the previous presentation, which is the customer view of Profila. So it's a simple stream of content that's available to everybody who connects to a company on Profila. So I won't go through the front end, but I'll definitely show you a advert and a brand moment as we create it for a brand. So today we'll look at the back end. I won't go through the setup of a brand. I can run through that in a longer demo I plan to do next week. But I have already set up this company as a company on Profila platform. This is actually a family friend in South Africa that's running a trial with us for a company called Rosso Sport Auto. So in Profila, as a brand, once you have set up your company, you'll see a basic metrics and statistics dashboard. So firstly, it's connections. So how many people during a mini trial connected to your brand? And then also subscriptions, as I mentioned before, is how many people have you subscribed to as a brand? And this is a closed trial, so we were just testing features and capabilities for this actual company. In the future, we'll be able to customize metrics for any company. So we have a standard dashboard, but we've got the data available, and we'll be able to put any brand statistics as far as their advertising campaigns and as far as the subscriptions, the connections, the psychographics and demographics for customers will be able to appear here on lovely dashboards. But let me take you through a bit of the navigation, because if you remember on the previous live video that we did, people are connections to a brand on Profila. So we are a B2B2C company. We ask companies like this to invite their customers from an email list or through a social media post onto Profila to engage them in a one-to-one and private conversation. What was interesting for this company specifically, which is a high-end car dealer, was to be able to connect in a simpler way than email, or in a more effective way, a more engaging way than email, with high net worth individuals who are looking to buy nice red sports cars, without some people missing the email and without people not having the chance to dive deeper and share personal data with them as a company. So that's what excited them about Profila trial in the first place. So 4 connections, and we've taken an extremely simplistic approach of CRM here. And in Profila, if you remember, a customer decides what data to share with you. And your first relationship status is purely as a connection. You put your nickname in and you decide what data you share. And in the first instance of connecting with a brand, this is all you've shared with them. You're still anonymous, but at least they have some demographic data to be able to target you. So here you can see this was a male in Switzerland and is of a certain age range, which might be interesting for me as a brand. Others down here, and I'll find one, that didn't share any data. So you can see here, you can still connect with a brand and not share any data. Obviously, it's harder for that brand to understand who you are and target content. But let's say I'm just interested in your company and I'm just browsing. And that's what we thought of, is when I walk into a store and I'm just browsing, let me connect to this brand and just see what they have to offer. Understanding, though, that I'm going to see generic content. So the intention here over time is to allow people to decide exactly what data sets they share with the brand, whether it's demographics, and in future will allow you to toggle on and off at any time you want to the types of data that a brand sees. So that is a connection status. And if you remember in our previous demonstration, in Profila, there's 2 relationship statuses. One is the connection, where you're anonymous and you're sharing only a few pieces of data or nothing. The second is a subscription. And now this is where the brand has said that, hey, I'm interested in you because you are a target demographic for me, and I want more information about you. This is where we've built in our smart contracts into the platform. And next week and the week after, I'll be able to show you the actual implementation of those smart contracts, which will then allow you to have proof, that you shared your data in a responsible way with this company. But for this brand, they want better details, okay, so that they can target you. And we've given them more information about me as an individual and also a category. So what are my automotive preferences? And this data can then be used to filter and to list and to target customers and to segment customers. So again, a very, very simplistic view, but in all of our research over the years, that's all that's needed to build the first list. Okay, and everything revolves around which customers do I want to offer which services, so I have to create lists. And that's where a simple process has been built that anyone who attaches themselves to you as a brand can be targeted in a list. And if you remember, all the connections are still anonymous. Okay, so this brand can do marketing fully compliant without even knowing any of the customer data or holding any customer data. And they can target and do advertising to them. But once you create a list and you've actually then can access more granular information, as you can see here, I can apply my subscribers list, which was just one person for this trial that's connected to this brand. Then that person can be filtered based on the surveys that they've completed. And in that case, if you remember, and I'll say here, car lovers, because this is a car brand that we're dealing with. And I can obviously filter around locations, and this company was in South Africa. I'll go here. Okay. And then I can add another condition. So let's say the next condition here is the categories. So I can do age, gender, but it's not important for me. For me, it's more important that does the person like the cars that I have to sell. And under the categories, we've got currently 20 are published, but about 40 categories planned of surveys that have been designed by us as Profila with Luke and our team that have done research into asking new questions of yourself. Okay, so it's self-assessment psychographics. It's not observed behavior. It's not tracking you on the internet. People on the platform will actually do this for incentives and for the Zeek token incentives to provide this more granular data to brands. But there I've selected a category and I choose the automotive one. And then I can see here, what are my car ownership preferences? And then I can actually go down to the specific question that was asked. And we can get extremely targeted here with how often do you use the car? What type of car do you prefer to own? For what purposes do you use the car? And we've also designing with this company car collector specific surveys, but they're not for this company only. They've designed generically to say, well, do you like Ferraris? Do you like Porsches? Do you like Lamborghinis? And then they'll be able to fine tune their segmentation. Okay, so let's say, how often do you use your car? And then you can select from the answers. And we've got a whole different array of answer types, be it on the multiple choice, on be it selections, or be it image selection, which I did show in the other demo. But the end result is this. Okay, and without showing all of these answers of the surveys to the brand, they can do the most important thing, which is still segment their customer base. That is very different to how the current industry surveys, collects mass data, puts it into a database, and then tries to filter from that and then retarget you. Over here, we have your answers that are available anonymously through the platform, and a brand can then create a list that will target you as an individual on this platform based on you being opted in. So I think the list creation process, we've also tried to keep extremely simple. We've been working with CRM and CDB platforms and some of the ad enablement platforms for years, and they're highly complicated. But you don't need so much information to actually target your customer in the right way if you have the right quality data from them. So under the people section, as I mentioned, we've got connections, which is the anonymous relationship status, showing only demographics or no data, purely a connection. We've got subscriptions where through a data subscription smart contract on Cardano, where the brand has accessed your data for a duration and period, and you're getting paid for that. is listed here. Okay, and I can show that process a little bit later on how we create a data subscription. But today I'm focusing more on the brand moments and the filtering of content for specific individuals based on the data that they've shared. And I've just showed you to the lists where we don't have to store all of the data anymore as a brand. I can just get access to the specific data point that I need based on the surveys that customers are continuously filling out. And a reminder there is, as Profila, we design these surveys to be self-assessments, and we incentivize people with our Zero Knowledge Token to maintain a valuable set of data for brands. Not only this company, but every company in the automotive industry would be interested in that one data set. After that, the platform is broken down into interactions. So 2 of them are brand moments, and brand moments, as you can see, are where we create our adverts and our advert campaigns on the platform. And second to that is the subscription offers that I just showed you. This process I will cover on another video, and today I'll focus more on the brand moments, so creating an ad. Just basically, the subscription offer is what was offered to a set of 10 users. And in this mini trial that we had, one accepted just for the test, and they will get paid. Not a lot of money. And remember, that is not the purpose of Profila, to make money out of your data only. That money that you make forms a contract between the 2 parties that they cannot, break the terms of their data usage. That trust level then opens you up to sharing quality data with this brand. And that is the fundamental mind shift that we're asking customers to take. Okay, is to create, maintain data, share it with a brand you want a relationship with, get compensated so that there is a contractual relationship which is binding. Then you can open yourself up to a lot of content that they have to offer. Before I jump into the actual brand moment and create an advert that we'll have a look at, there is some basic company information sections. Over here, you capture the basic data about your company. And what's a cool feature is we've implemented the Cardano Atala Prism framework, now changing to Identis. We've got our change release, and we'll be fully updated to that. And we do KYC on people that are coming onto the platforms, and we do KYBs, so know your brands, that come onto the platform. So in the future, every single brand on Profila will be checked and vetted by our team. Either it will be send us a registration document, and then we will link those assets to a digital ID so that we can then have a verified credential, in this case, verified by Profila, so that our customers know, their customers know that this is a real company. So no company on Profila will not be vetted. Bad English, but you know what I mean. So we're looking forward to expanding this process and automating it with partners around the world so that people understand that they're dealing with the real company. This is a significant step forward in platforms like ours that focus on marketing, because in my previous presentation, you saw that there is a massive ad fraud problem, 172 billion worth actually. So that is what we're trying to overcome in the future. So I'll take you through the process now of creating an advert, and we'll view it then on the back end. So if we have a look here, and I'll go and create a brand moment. So in this flow, it actually builds the advert as we're typing in the information. In this case, I'll do it to all connections. And then we choose a communication type. In the future in Profila, the communication type will determine the rate that you're charged. As a reminder, we don't charge brands for impressions on the platform. We only charge for click-throughs. But it is nice to segment what your content is for, because in our metronome feature, which is used by the individual, you could say, well, I'm not interested in any lead generation content, or I'm not interested in any general educational content from this brand. I'm only interested in new products or services or promotional offers or an actual deal. Okay, so let's give this one a nice campaign name, which is hot sale. And let's upload an image. We've used the basic concept of, let me go here. cropping the images taken from the X platform, and we'll optimize this over time. But you can choose the aspect ratio and do some basic cropping to make it fit nicely for you into our stream. So once you've got the image uploaded, you can also in the future upload, or you can now upload videos, 200 megs worth. We will increase that size over time. And we're working now on a multiple scroll of content. However, our philosophy has been less content, but more engaging to drive click-through. So let's say hot sale. Okay, and then let's just grab some content from this site where this is actually a car for sale from Rosso Sport Auto in South Africa. So we'll go here and let's actually change the headline to something more attractive. This section is a rich text editor, so people will be able to add links, add deeper content, add in PDFs even in the future, because we want to take away the restriction of just flicking over a piece of content and not diving deeper if that brand has messaging that they want you to see. So there is the price. Okay, and then we'll do the call to action as buy now. That's an interesting call to action because most of this will follow through as a click-through in the future to the site of the brand. But we are working on an e-commerce implementation where the buy now will actually capture the credit card details, and hopefully some of our crypto followers will be able to buy a credit card car like this in the very near future. And then we'll pass that package on the credit card transaction plus the parcel, the shopping basket, to the actual brand. And there's the link to the site. Now, interestingly, in Profila, we've also made the campaign periods a lot simpler. Okay, which means you can decide how long this offer is available for. You can make it as part of a campaign, or you can make it a lifelong offer. So for this one, because it's a special offer, I'll just make it available for 2 days. Okay, or 1 day. If it was part of a campaign, it obviously overrides that section, and it brings up your past adverts on the platform so that I can say, well, this campaign only gets triggered once somebody interacts with a previous piece of content. So in this case, it could either be the person saw the history of our brand, now they want to buy a car, or they actually click through on this previous ad, or they share some sentiment like they liked our company, so then we'll send them offers, or they bookmark the page. We'll increase these over time so that it makes it more interactive. Once you set that campaign, then you can have a trigger as well. So how many days after you've published this should it actually be sent, and how many days after it's sent is it actually active? But for now, I will just take it as a specific date range campaign. We do have metronome coming in here too. So this is where a brand will be able to be responsive to consumers' metronome settings. So if you've selected a group of 100 customers and your metronome settings show you that only 10 people or 50 people will see this because they've decided how much content they see, then the brand will be able to understand how their campaign is going to perform or how many people are actually going to see it. Now we'll have a budget here, and this button is quite important too, is that if any new members join the list or qualify for that targeted list, then they will see the content as well, or you can leave them off. Okay, so we'll leave it on for now. Impressions are free, and click-throughs, we've just got a base rate, but this will be aligned to the industry in the next months once we launch the actual billing process. And like any other platforms, the brand will put in a budget. Okay, so we should have filled in all the fields here, and we publish a brand moment. Okay, and there it is created. And then we'll be able to monitor it on the dashboard here. So any impressions that come through, we'll start counting the click-throughs, and any of the engagement will actually be listed here. We've got some great designs for what happens next. So if there's 10 great engagements, then we can, again, trigger another campaign ad for you. Or we can take different actions depending on how your customer is actually engaging with that piece of content. But that's how simple advertising can be. And we've actually set up brands on the platform and we've got them up and running with their first campaign after they have taken the brave step of inviting customers to the platform. We can do that within 10 minutes. Okay, so it really has stripped out all of the fluff in these platforms, the over analysis, because segmenting is segmenting. The most important part, though, is how do customers engage with this actual advert to make sure that it's valuable. And then you can take actions by canceling it, renewing it, or like I said, creating a multiple step campaign based on how people start interacting with it. Now, when I flip back to my profile, I probably won't see this advert because I was a subscriber. But let's see if we can refresh and get it up, because it was only for connections. Okay, let's have a little experiment and see if it's working live. Otherwise, I'll have to check something. Okay, in our relationships on the front end, remember I accepted an offer that I was part of a subscription process, and they actually can get better data about me. But if I decide in the future to change that, then I can opt out, and I would be able to see that advert. As you can see there, it has popped up because I actually do qualify. Okay, so we're zooming in. We're working on this a bit because we want the experience to be full screen and immersive with the content. And something close to my heart is that I want a pinch and zoom and also a hover over zoom, because brands spend a lot of money on capturing and creating amazing content, and we literally look at it for a second. Meanwhile, the photographer has probably spent a day shooting there, and trying to get the perfect light and angle. And I think people should pause a little bit, zoom in, have a look properly, and really appreciate really, really good content. And if you remember from my previous session, we do not want you to scroll fast past content. The whole idea is to stop, pause, wait, and read it and click through on it. Okay, so that was a very basic explanation. And if I hit buy now, then it took me off to another page where we could actually see the advert itself. So let me get back to the platform and then we can close it out. So that is the most simple explanation of how you can set up a brand on Profila. And because I've got multiple brands that I look after and we're trialing with, and myself, I can switch through different profiles. But I think that's quite fast. And something I said on our other presentation earlier this week is that for SMEs, I've been in a startup for many years. I've worked with very big companies that have overspent on CRMs. I don't think we need them anymore. And it's a funny realization. But with AI coming in, a lot of other people have also said in the industry that the traditional data analysis platforms are under threat. That's why at Profila, we strip down what do I actually need as a company to be able to service that basic interaction, which is, who are you? Do you like my brand? If you do, I need a little bit of more data to be able to engage with you and then understand that engagement and convert to value. So that whole process shouldn't take time. But when you look at big companies, they spend millions and millions on data management, on huge CRMs and CDPs, on tracking you all around the world, just to do this one same thing to see, well, are you interested? Okay, so in summary for this short session, I also just want to remind you that for brands, we're not an acquisition platform, and we're very clear about that when we speak to companies. Unfortunately, you have to go out to the big wide world to let people know that you actually exist. And that's awareness marketing in the IDA model. But as soon as you've taken a brand from awareness to interest, that's where you should bring them to Profila, because we can help you cultivate the interest even without them giving any personal data to you through the whole life cycle of the relationship. And that's why our main metric in Profila is lifetime value, customer lifetime value, not click-throughs, not impressions, but it's how long can we retain your customer on this platform because they are deeply engaged. So I hope that's been a thought-provoking demonstration today of how simple it can be to run a company on Profila to be able to gather data responsibly, ethically, using subscriptions and smart contracts to keep yourself 100% compliant. So here we're mitigating a brand's risk of carrying data. So there's no storage cost, there's no CRM costs, because we don't charge a SaaS license fee. You only pay per engagement success. Okay, so we're really turning the tides on our competitors, and if they're trying to charge you for these legacy things, you're wasting your money in the future as a company. Because as a company, you should only be paying for engagement with real customers, not with the 10 million dormant customers you got lying in a database somewhere that might get hacked and might get you into trouble with the privacy regulator. So with that, I wish you all a fantastic Friday, if it's morning or evening, and a weekend. But we will be speaking to you a lot more next week, because we're very excited about how the zero knowledge token of Profila actually fills through this whole platform. And the use cases for a brand are untouched. Okay, so a brand deals with Profila in fiat currency. We don't force them to use crypto. However, any dollar that they spend for ads and any dollar that they spend, as I showed you, for data over here in acquiring your data, and there was cost behind that, gets paid to you as the individual customer. Between 50 and 80% initially, and as your profile improves, because remember, they need quality data and they need maintained data. As your profile improves over time and you're engaging with them on their content and with the platform, then you get up to 80% of any money that comes through Profila for data and for advertising. That we convert into the Zeek token, and we pay you out into a Cardano wallet as a CNT into your Zeek token. And that's, I think, a game changer as far as how much revenue we can bring into the Cardano ecosystem and through the Zeek token as a CNT, because we're tapping into a $900 billion advertising industry. And over the last 5-6 years, we actually did an exercise today we've spoken about 50 or 60 top brands around the world, which are all dying for an alternative approach, okay, that doesn't sacrifice their customers' privacy and also gives them what they want: simpler, better cost efficiency, some platform that can actually track return on ad spend versus just giving them a false vanity metric of impressions. And we believe that is Profila. So we're extremely excited for our own strategy in this space, because we've stripped out, and we've got the bare bones of what a company needs to be able to engage with customers in a new era, where the customer owns the data, the customer owns how much attention they're going to give to a company. All the company has to do is delight them. Otherwise, you leave them. Okay, and that's the reality of a brand-customer relationship. But the brands we're speaking to understand this, okay, and they would rather spend more time in future with customers that they're engaged with, that they know like their brand, than wasting their time on trying to track hundreds of millions of people. Okay, so thank you, and have a good weekend. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.